What's going on, football overseas? I'm Kevin from Blaugrana Zone. I'm bringing you La Liga Match Day 21 predictions. We're going to jump right into the games this weekend. Starting off with Levante versus Elche. Levante had a pretty good game against Real Madrid last week. I think it's very commendable for them. Elche had a tie against Sevilla. I think the tie against Sevilla is very difficult to do because Real Madrid, obviously Levante got robbed. Let me know where you've heard that before. Penalty and kind of a fluke goal. I think Elche could have the stronger result against Levante. I'm going to give the win to Elche. Second up, we've got Rayo Vallecano versus Osasuna. Rayo Vallecano last week didn't have a great showing against Celta Vigo. Celta performs well against some teams under pressure. And I think that's very commendable on Celta's part. But for Rayo, it obviously did not work out in their favor. I don't really see Rayo bouncing back from that kind of loss. Osasuna, I think that they're on a much better path, and I think they have more of a offensive team that can maybe get the job done against a team like Rayo Vallecano. I'm going to give the win to Osasuna there. Up next, we've got Valencia versus Espanyol. Espanyol has actually been doing well with their goalkeeper. Against Barça, performed great, but Espanyol lost last week to Girona. Girona hasn't really been a good club this season, so that doesn't really speak well on Espanyol. But Valencia last week won against Getafe. Getafe hasn't played well either, so it's not like Valencia are being well tested right now. For that reason, I will give the result to Espanyol for the win. Up next, we've got Sevilla versus Atletico Bilbao. Sevilla, as I said, tied with Elche, and Atletico Bilbao lost to Mallorca. I truly dislike both of these teams. I don't want to see anyone win. I would prefer this ends with a draw, but if I had to give somebody the win, I would give it to Sevilla. Up next, we've got Villareal versus Real Madrid. Real Madrid, as I said, they beat Levante last week, and Villarreal suffered a loss to Real Betis. And obviously, there's going to be at least one penalty, right? So Real Madrid will get the win against Villarreal. Up next, we've got Mallorca versus Atletico Madrid. Mallorca, as I said before, they beat Atletico Bilbao. And Atletico Madrid beat Deportivo Alaves. Both these teams are coming off of a win. I hope that Atletico Madrid can maybe heat up the title race on Real Madrid, maybe put some pressure on their neck. So I want Atletico Madrid to win. I'm going to give the win to Atletico de Madrid. I hope that they can get some points out of that game, beat on Mallorca as many teams have been able to do, and get that job done. Up next, we've got Barcelona versus Real Oviedo. Real Oviedo lost to Osasuna last week, and Barcelona lost to Real Sociedad. That Sociedad game was absolutely disgusting. I hope that we never have a result like that again. I hope that we never are that unlucky again. So many things had to happen for us to lose that way. We had to be unlucky, poor performances. Nothing went our way that week. But I think things will go our way this week against Real Oviedo. At least they have to. They have to go good for us. Barcelona will get this win the weekend. Up next, we've got Sociedad versus Celta Vigo. Both these teams were successful last week. I think Sociedad, obviously coming off of beating the champions of the league, they're going to come in full head of steam. I don't doubt that from them. I think they'll have a good win against Celta. Either that, or if Celta wins against them, it'll be a fight because both these teams have beat Real Madrid and Barcelona. So they're probably both feeling like hot shit right now. Next up, we've got Deportivo Alaves, who suffered a loss to Atletico Madrid, and Betis, who won last weekend. Between these two teams, there's obviously levels. Alaves nowhere near Betis, nowhere near the offensive power or the defensive power. So obviously, the win will go to Betis. And last but not least, we've got Girona versus Getafe. Getafe lost to Valencia, and Girona beat Espanyol. Girona beat the more difficult team here as well. So I think Girona will have that advantage. I think Girona will get those 3 points. I want to know what you guys are thinking in those comments. Let me know if your team is picking up 3 points this weekend. I pray that Barcelona will pick up 3 points this weekend. But I want to know your guys' thoughts. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you want to catch more of me, Blaugrana Zone will be in the description below. Thank you so much, Football Overseas, and I'll see you next time.